Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in Hausa yang nakama. They are like abiru in the markets. Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has an undertone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history,
It's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background, and today we are here in TSTV, and that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse. Weekdays on NCTV.
All right, good morning to you viewers and welcome to today's episode of National Discourse. It's very interesting because away from the whole political issues, away from PDP, APC and the whole of everything happening in the political sphere, of course having elections still in view, we are going to be looking at something very interesting that will benefit myself and yourself that is actually watching us at this moment. So I implore you to sit tight. We are looking at unemployment, of course the alternative unemployment, the alternative we have, yet it's still in the midst of all the political things and all that, all the news and everything going on. We are going to be looking at the way out for our younger generation, of course for our youth that are being turned out from NYSC, badges after badges, with limited opportunities, waiting for us there. Unemployment, alternative. Trust me, I have someone with me in the studio that will do justice to this topic. He's an expert in the field. So we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, I will introduce my guest and we'll roll it from there. I remain your host, Uche Uduma. Stay with us.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in Hausa yang nakama. They are like abiru in the markets. Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
what happened in Benue might be political. It still has an undertone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history,
it's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background, and today we are here in TSTV, and that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.
All right, welcome back from that short break. Like I told you, I have with me Dr. Samson Opalua. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the studio. And welcome to National Discourse. This is the first time, right?
Yes, it is.
Being in this studio and being on this program.
Exactly.
All right. Good morning to you once again.
Good morning.
Now, I would want you to introduce yourself properly. I've introduced your name, and I want you to introduce all the portfolios lined up under your name, so that the guests will have a tips of where we are coming from.
Okay. I'm Samson Opalua. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria, and the Chairman of the Construction Artisans Awards, that is organizing the first Artisan Award in Nigeria. I'm a Fellow of Nigeria Institute of Building, a Fellow of Nigerian Society of Engineers, a Fellow of Nigerian Institution of Civil Engineers, and a Fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants. I'm an elder of Ekwa Church Wusetu.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
All right.
Now we know that unemployment has actually eaten deep into the fabrics of our society.
Yes.
Like I said, this topic looks odd at this point in time,
Exactly.
because of the whole political thing that is happening.
Exactly.
But it is very, very interesting and very important for us to look at this topic, digest it, so that we'll have less, or the unemployment thing will be brought to the minimal, by people watching and of course subscribing to the program you are about to have. Now, unemployment, we all know, is when people are not engaged, not skillfully engaged. And when you talk about unemployment in our society, it looks like it's just the white collar jobs that we are looking at. Now the need for this program. Now I would want you to, from your own perspective, give us what unemployment really means in its entirety.
Okay. I will talk about unemployment, but let me say that indeed this period of political contest, that is when unemployment should be on the front burner, because politics should be about issues. If you want to be given the mandate to run and rule this, govern this country, you should tell us what we are going to do to the challenges that we have in the society. And one of our major challenges today is unemployment. So everybody seeking to get into power should put it on the front burner, how they are going to address this issue. What is unemployment? The fact that you are able-bodied and you can contribute to the engine of the growth of the nation, and you don't have the opportunity simply because there is no opportunity for you. There is a choked economy and you are not able to participate in the economy. You are unemployed. And you could also be underemployed, in which case the capacity you have, you are not putting up the adequate response to the capacity which you have. So we have those issues in our nation, and the rate of unemployment is alarming. And we in the construction sector, you must understand that the awards is particularly about construction sector. We know that we have no business with unemployment in this country. Nigeria is a rich country, and we have got the population, so we have got the market. So why should our youths be idle? It is simply a failure of management.
Whose responsibility it is?
It is the responsibility of both the government and the private sector.
Okay.
The government creates the enabling environment, the private sector creates the opportunities.
All right, now looking at the government and the private sector, very, very, very interesting.
Yes.
Now, and coming back to Nigeria, this is where we belong to, and this is where all that happens, happen.
Yeah.
And we see these things, they stare us in our faces, and then most times we are, handicapped to handling these issues, tactfully. Now, the private sector and the public sector, talking about the government.
Yes.
Now, can they coexist when it has to do with employment opportunities?
Oh yeah. You see, incidentally, I've worked in both sectors.
Okay.
Now, the public sector actually is meant to create the enabling environment. What do we mean by enabling environment? The infrastructure and the facilities that will unbundle the energies of the private sector. The private sector is a profit-driven organization in any nation that wants to provide service and goods from those who need it, and produce it and supply to those who need at a profit.
Okay.
So it's a win-win situation if we have an organized society. But the situation we have now is that even the private sector that's supposed to tap into the opportunities that we have, because we have a huge country. We have about 200 million. And it's estimated that our youth 60%. So we have a huge workforce. They cannot, because of course you know that our industries are shutting down, or a number of them are down on account of power infrastructure generally. So they are not able to perform. And so because we have inflow from oil resources, we have not been able to understand that the economy itself has to be generated by our work, the work content of every citizen in this country. It is what we do that should actually be the real income of this nation.
Okay, now, before we go deep or
Yes.
go over to the skill, part of it, now, what alternative do we have to the oil sector kind of driven economy we are running? Do we really have other alternatives practically? And if we have such alternatives, why are we not putting it into place? And if you think we have done something about it, why have we not seen, meaningful results as of now?
The first alternative we have is our brain. If we put our brains to work, we can do a lot of things. Do you know that if you are producing a simple item and you have a market of 1 million, maybe in Gwarimpa here, you're already a rich man. You don't need to even produce for 5 million people. Yet we have 200 million. Now, why should we have unemployment? It's simply because we have not ordered our priorities right.
As a nation or as individuals?
As a nation, and that is cascading to the individual.
Okay.
And that's why everybody is into politics. Where are the producers?
If everybody runs into politics.
Of course. Okay. Who are those to produce and generate the economy?
But we have over 200 million people.
Yes.
What percentage of those people, or let me ask you this question. Now, the percentage of people in politics, should that affect the remaining percentage that should go into other fields to make our economy, readily available for employment and all that?
Every society can be grouped into 3 broad categories. You have the thinkers, you have the planners, and you have the workers.
Okay.
The thinkers should be very few. The planners also, it's a pyramidal structure.
Yeah, streamlined.
Exactly. So those who are thinking and planning shouldn't be everybody. As it is now, almost everybody is a politician. And all of us are dependent on government. Why? Because there seem to be very easy funds coming into government. Because we don't work for this oil money. If we have to work for it, then some people have to do the work. And that's why we are saying, look, young people, let us get into skills. Skills is the next oil. You can't sit down at home and say you have a paper in your paper certificate, and so you are waiting for Godot when there's no job coming and you have your hands. You cannot learn a skill.
All right, now can we go into the skill acquisition proper?
Yes.
Now we have talked about a little. We've touched the aspect of employment, what an ordinary man perceives it to be. Some persons wake up and it's white collar job they're looking for, which are streamlined into private and of course the government sector, which we can say public sector. Now we want to look at the skills, as the alternative we have for employment. What alternative we have for employment, which is skills. Now, can you go into skills acquisition, proper?
Yes. Why we have massive unemployment today is because the artisanal level in the country has actually collapsed.
What do you mean by that? Because you have different levels of people or individuals, viewers watching the program.
Those who work with their hands, those who ordinarily are called artisans, they are in short supply now. And that is because technical education collapsed in our country at about 30 to 40 years ago. And that's the result we are getting today. We used to have trade schools, craft schools, technical schools, and then the polytechnics. And at every point in this ladder, people were exiting and having some trades expertise that they could do work at their level. Today, all those systems have been collapsed into the academic line.
Okay.
So you find that somebody comes out of secondary school, he's supposed to have been trained in introductory technology, but he cannot build a chair. You need a carpenter to build a chair. There's no now organized training structure for the person who will produce your chair, or the person who will wire your house, or the painter, or the mason that lays your block work. Because these things are not academic. They are vocational. They are technical. And that's what we are reinventing now. So that we have people who will train in this area of expertise and be able to work. I hope you are aware that even in the face of this massive unemployment that we have, we are also importing this category of people from the neighboring West African countries. That's an irony, isn't it?
It is.
So we now have to reverse this trend.
Okay. Now, hold on before you continue. Now, the way we are now in Nigeria, the trend is that every family wants their words to be educated. Good. Now, looking at the education sector, how do we instill skills acquisition in the educational sector? While you were talking, you made mention of we used to have technical schools and all that. Some are still existing, but in the minimal. But the truth is, most people graduating from the schools, when they come out, they can't face the practical work. They won't be able to face it squarely and deal with it. Now, how do you plan, your organization plan, what is your work plan to get into the educational sector, to instill the skills acquisition in there, not just the one on the paper, not the theoretical work, but the practical aspect, so that if I'm going into technical school and if I'm out from the school, I should be able to stay on my own and do the work I've assumed to have learned.
Well, government has created an avenue to redress the situation through the National Board for Technical Education. It might interest you to know. Well, it has to start.
Has it been in operation?
Well, it's just starting. And what we are doing is part of the response to the opportunities they have created.
Okay.
So we now have what we call the Technical Vocational Education Training.
Okay.
And the training centers are also registered.
Okay.
And these training centers have a facility to now begin to train what used to be done in the craft school and in the trade schools and in the technical schools. Beyond that, some professional bodies have been given what we call awarding body status, so that experts in the field are able to assess this training and supervise these trainees to ensure that they have a certain level of competency to be able to work in the open field. The whole gamut of technology and technical studies have also been broken into sectors. So we have sector councils, and these sector councils determine the level of training, the level of grading, and the expertise required at various levels. We believe that in due course, that will redress the situation. But what we want to do now is to interest the young people, because they have not seen the actualization of those who are in this area. They see the hand worker, the artisan, as a low-class person. But it might interest you to know that a few months ago I was in the UK and we got talking with a plumber. A plumber, what he was earning was equivalent to a professor in the university.
That's over there.
Oh yes, in the UK.
What happens here? What happens down here?
So that we got to reinvent that here.
Now, we have this orientation already in Nigeria that those that indulge in some skills, like you talk about the plumber now, we see them as low-class people down here.
Exactly.
Now, it's very interesting you mentioned that the person is in UK. Now, what can we do to change that orientation? Because even people that have gone to school, most times the certificate, tends to mislead some persons or tends to make some youth very lazy and just sit in one place. When you have plumbing work to do, you have the capacity to do it. You come back and pick up your certificate. How can I have first class in law and I'm going to do this? Now, how can we change such mentalities, in the youth we have now?
The situation we have now is a perfect opportunity. What's the benefit of your holding a certificate that cannot put food on your table? What's the benefit of your holding a certificate that does not actualize your own desires as a human being? Meanwhile, these trades, because you are skillful, you are providing service, somebody is benefiting from your expertise. That's a huge challenge. That it gives satisfaction. Those of us who are in the industry, we know what we are talking about. Once you serve somebody and is happy, you have an inner satisfaction in yourself that you have provided service, you have built, you have contributed to nation building. And in this expo, we are going to bring young students from schools to come and let them see the future that there is in becoming skilled persons in the society. And one more thing that this new direction of TVET is bringing up is that there will be categories. There's levels 1 to 7. Right now, if you want to hire any artisan, you just go to where they are gathered. You don't know the one that qualified yesterday. You don't know the one that qualified 20 years ago. So all you know is that
pick the one that is available.
You pick the one that is available, and their quality of delivery differs. Their experience differs.
Okay, now I've asked you this question before.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you again to give us a more clearer picture. Now we have primary schools, we have secondary schools, we have university, that's tertiary level and all that. Now, I've asked you how we can instill the skill acquisition in our schools. Yes, you've answered, but I want a more practical answer down to what we have now. Now we have different subjects that people take on in primary schools and in secondary schools. Is there any how the educational system can adjust the brochure they have? Of course, down to writing jam. Is there any how we can adjust the academic calendar, so to speak, or to look at the subjects practically? Is there any how we can look at the subjects that we are running currently in our various levels of institutions to make sure that it accommodates the skills acquisition? You still open up and tell us the different skills that people can acquire, but for now let's deal with the educational part before going to the other part.
Well, you see, if you are following the academic line, primary school, secondary school, university, or the technical line, that's what you used to obtain.
Yes.
You have the craft school, technical school, polytechnic.
So we can mix.
Now, the world has moved on from that system.
Okay.
So now, what TVET will introduce, which is where we will be going as a nation in order to address the situation, is that if you are in the technical, you are in the academic line, and you want to move into the technical line, there should be opportunity for you to reschool in the technical at a commensurate level to acquire the skill that you need. And even then, in the academic line, they need to have appropriate technical, practical, hands-on experience, in which case it will not just be practicals in the universities and in the colleges. We have to develop a situation where probably 1 year they are right on site to see what they have learned for some period translated into reality. Then they can come back and build on it, and then they graduate. The period of NYSC too, I do know that Nigerian Society of Engineers had worked extensively with the NYSC to ensure that during the period of NYSC, engineers are posted to relevant pieces relevant for them to gather experience. But again, the challenges are that if the economy is not moving at the rate it should move, where would the opportunities, the construction and the engineering industries, where would they be?
Because I know we are in the era where a medical doctor even works in the bank.
Exactly.
Good.
So you now find a situation where it's like a chicken and the egg. But then we have to start somewhere. And the Western world has gone ahead. Now, even the informally trained ones are now being given the opportunity to cross over to the academic line. You could be working, and then you want to upscale your academics to back up the expertise you have. Then you may be coming to school maybe twice a week for about 3-4 years. Then while you are working, you acquire an academic certificate and you rise again along the technical line.
All right, I'll be going for a short break now, and when we come back, we are going to go into the different skills that is available or that are available for people to acquire, and we'll come back to the program you have that is forthcoming. Please stay with us.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in house like nakama. They are like agbero in the markets. Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has an undertone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history,
It's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background, and today we are here in TSTV, and that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse. Weekdays on NCTV.
All right, welcome back from that short break. I know most of us will be willing, and of course we are ready to listen to this part, like what are the various types of skills that we can acquire and begin to use. You know, that is our focus right now, sir. Now we have different kind of skills. Now we need to know what are the skills that are readily available for Nigerian youths to pick, and of course that will generate immediate money, because that is always the very key point.
Yeah, there are plenty of skills in the gamut of the economy. However, for this program, we are concentrated on construction skills.
Okay.
And what are construction skills? I mentioned plumbing earlier. I mentioned electrical installation, carpentry, masonry, tiling, block work, iron bending, welding. Those are the type of skills in the construction sector. And those are the ones that we are concentrating upon. And why is it so? Because any nation that wants to quickly energize their economy, construction is the way to go. And it might interest you to know that even if government is not embarking on construction, individuals embark on construction. If there are no new constructions, maintenance must take place in the existing structures. So it's an industry that once we have the skills built into our youths, they will be quickly and easily employed.
Okay, now how can the unskilled ones have access to the skills?
That is by going through the training. You know, it's a ladder system. So if an unskilled person is interested, he goes to either a skilled person as a journeyman, you know, to learn from him, or he goes to a training center.
All right, now tell us about your own program, your own institute, your own center, so that the viewers that would want to, you know, contact you afterwards will know exactly what you do and where to meet you.
Well, you know, I'm the vice chairman of the Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria.
Okay.
And we are the Sector Skills Council for building construction. Now, the Nigeria Institute of Building, that's our sister organization, is the awarding body for building construction trades. And we also have a members training center called System. A System are the organizers of these awards that is taking place on 28th and 29th of this month. And what they are doing, because they are a training center, is that they want to excite young people in these skills. And it's a national program. It started at the state level, up to the zonal level, and it is coming to the national level. And we will be able to, in these trades, 7 trades I have just mentioned, we'll be able to have the best artisan in the country. And by so doing, artisans all over the nation will now know that their trade is being recognized, their level of expertise is also being recognized. And we are now bringing in young people to come and see what can be done. And there are going to be samples produced, because that's the essence of the competition is practical, not academic. Theory. So you have to do it within a specified time at a certain proficiency, and it is assessed.
Regardless the academic qualification of anybody?
Yeah, because it came through the sifting system from the states. It's practical. But you know, also, because of the level of technological involvement in the world, you cannot remove academics entirely.
Sure. That's exactly the point I've been trying to make.
Whatever you want is indeed, if you want to be globally recognized, then there must be academics to back up.
Now you see the point I've been trying to, drive home or bring out. Like, everybody wants to get educated. Like, how can they, align themselves in the skills way with education? Do you understand the question? That's I've been trying to pull it out, like, so that I won't wake up and say, okay, there's no need to train my children because I want them to go the skills way. I just want people to know that you can be educated and be skilled.
Yeah, exactly. So what is even happening now is that some people in formal institutions come to these training centers, like the system I've mentioned, during the period of their long vacation. Say, I want to learn carpentry. And a structured program is given to you, maybe 3 or 4 years, every long vac. You come and learn hands-on how to...
It doesn't have to be steady, like every time?
No.
Okay.
You can have a program tailored for you, or during your long vac, you meet... these courses are also in modules. So you take the module that you are available to take. And that's the essence of it, is that of this TVET, is that you should be able to be doing some work and earning your living. So you don't, one of the challenges of the formal system is that you pay school fees, you are not working, you are waiting for 3-4 years before you can start to earn an income. It's not so with the technical system that is being introduced.
Okay.
So whatever you learn and you get certified for now, you can apply it, earn some income. And then you move to the next level, and you move to the next level until you reach the highest. By the time you reach the highest, you'll be earning equivalent to a professor. And you will be wanted by people because of your expertise. The trade like plumbing is in very short supply in this country. A trade like plaster of Paris, POP, is in very short supply. Tiling, if you go all over the houses in this city, you find that there's poor tile work most of the places. Painting. So we need to retrain and train our people, and then let them, play into this economy and enjoy the benefit. It is sad that we have a lot of opportunities, yet people are unemployed and they are helpless. This is what should be in the public discourse of politics today. How to get our people working.
And that is exactly why we are having it in the midst of the politics.
Yes. This is what the parties should tell us. What are you going to do? How are you solving this problem? Not that you turn them into thugs. It's not an enduring endeavor.
Okay, you know the skills you've mentioned for your program and for your institute, they look like hard works. Like, my question now is it gender restrictive?
It may interest you to know that some of our final contestants are ladies.
Wow.
The lady that won the FCT electric, a lady won the FCT electrical. I graduated from the university first degree in 1978, and my classmate was a lady. Both of us had first class honors. So there are ladies in the industry.
Okay, so
both in the academia and in the field.
In the field.
Yes.
That is actually my area of interest.
But you see,
a lady can take up plumbing work?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not can, they are in. I'm telling you that they are in.
Okay.
And we are encouraging them more to come in. Why? Because they can relate more with the lady clientele. And you know, because of the restrictive nature of some of our societies, they will prefer that a lady goes to carry out maintenance in the area of the ladies. So there's a huge market for them.
You know why I asked the question? Because most times we create restrictions by ourselves. You know, we have created timetable and the kind of work that ladies should do and ladies should not do in our mindset. You know, when you're going home, most times you see ladies stopping their vehicles to say, hop in, I'm taking you to so and so place, you pay me. You will see the expression, you know, on the faces of people, especially the male counterpart. That was why I'm asking the question. And it's very interesting for us to know, as ladies that are watching this program, that there is no limit to what we can do. You know that thing they say, what a man can do, is we should not apply it in the negative. Now, in the positive, it means there is no kind of work that is restrictive for a woman to do. Good. So if women can work educationally or be in the education sector, a woman too can go practical, you know, and acquire any of the skills that you've mentioned here.
Exactly.
Good. All right. Now, your program is on 28th
and 29th.
And 29th.
And 29th. And it's a 2-day program. The awards will take place on 29th. That's the finals of the awards.
Okay.
But there will be a job fair also.
Job fair.
Fair.
Can you explain that?
Now, what does this mean? All these artisans that have gone through this competition, we have been able to codify them to know their levels of competence. Okay. And so a database is commencing where, if for instance you want an artisan of this particular class, you just go to that database and you see the number of people that are qualified at that.
Would the database be available to Nigerians to access?
It is
or
now.
Just to institute?
Yes, that's why we are building it now. Okay. It will be available for the public. It's a public service.
Because it should be.
So, because it is in our interest that the quality of building construction improves in the nation. So we don't want a situation where people are not competent to handle the assignments they are giving simply because the client did not understand who he should be inviting to come and carry out a particular assignment. That's why I want to structure it.
Is there any financial implication in coming under your platform?
Well, the details will be worked out. You know, this is the beginning.
Okay.
And this is a maiden awards we are doing, and the public will be sensitized, and we will get to the public.
All right.
But certainly, it is not something that will be beyond what is happening now. It will be less. It will be more functional to use that system.
Okay, right now we have different apps. You know, the world is actually have gone global.
Correct.
And I don't know if they're exceeding the global limit. All right, now we have different apps now. Like I can sit in the comfort of my house or my comfort zone, and I want to go somewhere. I don't want to move my vehicle. I can, you know, go online and use any of the apps, you know, that are available, and I will get I will have my services rendered to me.
Correct.
Now, do you have any plan, or does your institute have any plan like that to build apps so that it will be readily accessible by Nigerians? What I mean is, I may not have the link to your database or whatever, but can we have an app where, okay, I just walk into my bathroom and I discover that I have some plumbing issues, and I can easily go into the app and, you know, ask for a plumber to come to my house and fix it up.
Exactly.
Is it possible?
That's where we are going. That's what we are saying. Once this database is built, you will be able to access the net through the app or whatever, and then you can even say, this is the challenge you are having in your building. You can be giving advice as to who can handle it and where, how you will contact the person. You don't need to go anywhere. And you will not be restricted. You will be given maybe number of choices. This person is here, this person is here, and this at the level of their competencies. And after they have serviced you, you are going to send us again a report, a review of the service you got. So if they didn't perform, it counts against them.
Okay. What security modalities are you putting in place to make sure that once this app is on or such services are open for people to assess that your staff or the people working or the skilled people are safe? Because we are seeing so many things happening right now. You can't know who is whose intention is actually on the negative to invite someone to come and work in his house. So what security modalities are you providing?
Well, we are hoping also that people will be normal people, you know.
We don't hope people are normal around here. No, let us be practical and let us face the truth.
And
sorry, sir, we've seen instances where service delivery people are being killed in this country.
Yes.
People that have gone to deliver services that you asked for.
Yeah.
So now the intentions of people, you can't wake up and say it's positive, because we have different kinds of people around the globe. Now, how can you ensure that the lives of the skilled people working under you will be secured?
You know, the full details, I may not be able to come up with it right away.
Yeah.
But I do know that for you to access the app also, there must be some form of registration.
Okay.
And in that registration, there will be guarantees of who you are, where you are. So we must have adequate information on you.
Do you think that suffices?
It should.
Because
it should,
if, for example, I give you this address, for example,
yes,
and you check it, the address is correct and all that, does it stop me from, you know, doing what I want to do and leaving the sole address place that I put up?
It may not only be the address. You know, the payment system.
Okay.
Is going to capture you too, because we may not need to pay the artisan. So you are going to pay through. You see, the electronic system that has come into our payment system in this country has a security feature too.
Yeah.
So you can be tracked. And we now have a national identity card. We have the BVN. So there are so many, you know, things are not as loose as they used to be. So I think that we will be able to build in guarantees, but it's definite that there may be some people who want to try one or two tricks. But we will continue to catch them, and we will do the right things and make sure that our operatives are protected.
All right, sir, because of our time, I'd want you to throw your final words to the viewers that are actually seated at home waiting for white-collar jobs. I wanted to just throw a words to them, and of course address the issue of women too, looking at the kind of skills they're talking about here.
Thank you very much. You see, when we hear Africans crossing the Mediterranean and dying in droves in the ocean, my heart bleeds.
It's painful.
And it is so with many of us who are professionals in the built environment. Because if these young people have skills, those countries will be flying them to come and work for them. Skills are in short supply worldwide now, especially in the Western nations. People are looking for skills everywhere. And we have the youth population. One of the challenges of some of these societies is that they don't have youth population. So there is a limit to what type of skills you can demonstrate at old age.
Sure.
So we have the advantage of having a youth bomb, which we can use to our advantage. If we have more than enough here, we export them. The world is looking for them, but they are not looking for people who will be a liability on their society. And that's the way we should go. Upskilling our youth. And then for the ladies, first of all, there is no gender difference in the construction sector.
Very, very important.
Then, secondly, we have what we call PPE, protective equipment. So for every assignment in the sector, there is protection. There are appropriate gears you wear.
So no need for fears.
It is ignorance and lack of training that makes you see people endanger themselves when they are doing some construction work. No. Every operative on the construction site has an appropriate gear that will protect him and make him perform perfectly without danger.
Without issues.
And so ladies are welcome.
All right, thank you very much, and this is where we'll stop on National Discuss today. Very, very, very interesting. Now, most of us that are watching, we can, make up our minds on what skills to pick up to ensure that our lives run smoothly. Like you said, you can have certificates inside your bags or your rooms or whatever, and you're hungry. Now, what satisfies you is the ability to put food on your table every day. So let our youth wake up to the clarion call by this institute and take advantage of what reforms they're bringing to Nigeria to ensure that at least we're working to put food on our tables. Thank you very much. And of course, we've heard women, ladies like me, there's no restriction and there's no limit to what we can do. We can do what others are doing, if you understand what I'm saying. So thank you very much for watching. Till tomorrow, we'll catch up with you. I still remain Uche Uduma, signing out.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in house like Nakama. They are like Abiru in the markets. Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has another tone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history,
it's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background, and today we are here in TSTV, and that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.